The Stillwater Planning Commission meeting of January 9th, 2024 is now called to order. It will be the process this evening to call for items on the agenda. When we get to the public hearing items, the commission will hear briefly from staff first. We'll hear then from their applicant and or their representative, and then we will open the public hearing and hear from those in favor and or in opposition of the request. When you come to the podium, please clearly state your name and address for the record. Before closing the public hearing, both staff, the applicant, and or their representative will be provided an opportunity to respond, to provide additional information, and answer any questions that have been raised. After all interested parties have spoken, the public hearing will then be closed, and we will hear closing remarks and alternatives from staff. The second item on the agenda are general orders, and what we have is SUB 2113, which is a preliminary plat, and we'll hear from staff.
All right. Good evening, Planning Commission. My name is Diana Hood, and as stated, this item under general orders is for an extension of a preliminary plat for Parkview Estates Section 10. Here is an area map of the subject property. It is located within the Parkview Estates subdivision near Richmond Road and Perkins Road. So this preliminary plat was approved by the Planning Commission on January 11th, 2022. And at this time, the improvements are not substantially complete, and the applicant is not yet ready to proceed with the final plat at this time. Final plats cannot be accurately reviewed and presented for acceptance until these improvements are substantially complete. And so the applicant is asking for a 12-month extension of this preliminary plat. These are the code requirements, which state that the preliminary plat expires after 2 years from its initial approval, which is why they have filed this request to extend that. And then this is the approved preliminary plat. Are there any questions for staff?
I don't see any questions from commissioners. So Chair would entertain a motion to approve the 12-month extension as requested.
Motion to approve the 12-month extension as requested.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We shall now vote. Motion passes 5-0. The next item on the agenda are public hearings. The first item on the agenda is a short-term rental, STR 0130. This item was tabled from the December 5th meeting, and if I understand correctly, the applicant has withdrawn this application. Is that correct, Diana?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so we can just move to the next item on the agenda, which is a short-term rental. Oh, and I will say, just for those in the audience, that is the property that was addressed at 1607 South Berkshire Drive. If anyone's here for that, that item has been pulled. The second item under public hearings is a short-term rental, STR 0140. And that is for the property addressed at 1215 South Martin Street. This item was also tabled from the December 5th meeting, and this one also, I understand, has been pulled by the applicant.
Yes,
so
that's
that one
correct.
is also pulled. The next item on the agenda is short-term rental, STR 0143, and this is for property addressed at 1103 North Sunnybrook. And this was also tabled from December 5th, and we will continue with this one. So
Yes.
we'll hear from staff.
Yes. Just that address is 1106 North Sunnybrook. So yes, as stated, this is a request for a short-term rental license at the property addressed as 1106 North Sunnybrook Drive. As a reminder, this is the area map of the subject property. It is near the intersection of Manning Street and Sunnybrook Drive. Are there any questions for staff at this time?
Nope, there's no questions for staff. At this time, we would open the floor, have an opportunity for the applicant or their representative to come forward on this item. If you would please state your name and address for the record.
Kevin and Amy Carwile. It's 1106.
Can you get a little closer to the microphone?
Yeah. Kevin and Amy Carwile. It's 1106 Sunnybrook Drive.
All right. So I believe that the Planning Commission had a few questions that we wanted to ask about this property and the intent for it. So I'm turning to the commissioners to give them an opportunity to state those questions or pose those questions.
So did you say you actually reside at the residence as well?
No, sir.
No, you do not.
Our daughter attended Oklahoma State University and she lived in the home and she recently graduated, so we were going to turn it over to a
Could you
short
get
term.
just a little bit closer to the microphone
I'm
because we
sorry.
can't quite pick you up?
Our daughter graduated from Oklahoma State recently and we had bought the house for her to live in, so then we were going to try to turn it over to a short term.
Ms. Carlisle, you stated that 1106 North Sunnybrook was your address. Could we have your address for residence, please? For the
My-
record.
Mine for my personal home?
Yes, ma'am.
It's 22873 State Highway 74, Purcell, Oklahoma, 73080.
Thank you, ma'am.
So with you not living in Stillwater, who would be managing the property?
I will be managing it, but we have lots of friends and family, and my daughter played softball at Oklahoma State, so we know everybody up here, and everyone's offered to help us.
So I know some of the other questions that we often ask are, do you have some house rules that you would have in place? Is there a specific short-term rental platform that you would be using to help book the property? That sort of thing.
We're currently going to use Airbnb. We have we personally just have rentals where we live too, so we're very familiar with rental property. We'll have a guideline set out of quiet hours, from 10 o'clock at night till 7 o'clock the next morning or whatever. I've got cameras on the property so that I can see if anything's going on. I've got my neighbors across the street that have my phone number, told me they would call me if they ever see anything going on. I've got just a list of rules, but we personally own everything inside the house also, so we'll be watching it very closely to make sure nothing happens inside or outside.
Okay. Other questions from commissioners?
Well, I have a note when this was discussed back in December, and someone in opposition to this said that trees had been cut down and put in the drainage ditch.
Not exactly, but they had been cut down. It was actually, we own both houses side by side. And in the, what do you call it, the easement between the two houses, there was a lot of trees that had grown up and was actually on top of our little awning, our storage building. And then we're going to have a new fence put up. Well, the gentleman's going to put up a fence, was going to charge me extra for the trees since it was in the easement. So I'd cut those trees down, piled them up at the bottom, but since then, those trees have been picked up.
So they've been removed from the drainage ditch?
Yes.
Okay.
How many people are you going to allow to stay in your house at any given time?
It's a 4-bedroom, so 8 people max.
8 people
And I've
max.
got listed in my rules and everything that no events, no parties, no anything, and no more than 8 people max.
Do you have a minimum night stay?
2.
2-night minimum. Parking sufficient for how many
We can fit 4 cars in the actual driveway.
in the actual driveway? Okay.
Any other questions from commissioners for the applicant? I don't see any. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
At this point, we'll open the public hearing. Go ahead. We'll open the public hearing and ask if there's anyone in the audience this evening that would like to speak in favor of this item to please come forward. Seeing none, we'll ask if there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition to this item to please come forward. Yes, please come forward. State your name and address for the record for us.
My name is Jeff Stewart. This is my wife, Charlene Stewart. We reside at 1117 East Will Rogers Drive. Still opposed to the bed and breakfast. As they stated, they've now bought the house directly next door. So they're wanting to open two. Did a little research. They have been renting out 1106 before the license. I have it right here, plus 7 reviews from people that have stayed in the place. They haven't done anything with 1116 yet, so I don't know anything about that. One of my main concerns was there was a gray area before in businesses in residential areas. I still don't think that's right. You said there was a little gray area, so I think something should be clarified and made clear before anything's passed. Another situation I had too, this happened back in December in Edmond. 9 illegals were busted at a B&B and selling drugs out of the house. Now, I don't even want any possibility of that in my neighborhood. So that's one of the reasons why I'm opposed. Not saying that it would, but just don't want to take the chance. What? Oh yeah, I got it here, the one in Edmond, and I also have it here, the ones that they've been renting out with the reviews of the place. So since they've been renting it out before the license has been, I think it should be denied. Thank you. Do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I do. We had to,
You get just a little closer to the microphone.
in order for the trees to get removed from the culvert, we had to actually call code enforcement to have them come out and remove that. It wasn't something that they willingly did, and it was blocking the culvert and the drainage. We have drainage problems there at Manning, and anytime it has a heavy rain, it always floods there. So we did have to call and ask that they remove that because we did have a heavy rain. And I have concerns about if they live in Purcell, I mean, how are they going to get here in time if there was something come up? You know, and they say, I thought that you had to be an owner resident in order to do this Airbnb. I mean, it doesn't sound like the owners are living there. They want to do an Airbnb next door to each other. They say 8 people, 4 cars. Well, that's only if they're couples. There could be 8 different vehicles there. And we already have problems with vehicles and traffic. I mean, Perkins Road has been widened, but still if there's an accident, and a lot of times there's accidents on Perkins Road, it always comes through Manning, and the school districts, when it's schools lets in or lets out, we have so much traffic.
That's another thing. It is a school district, and if you come out of Sunnybrook onto Manning, you don't know it's a school district. You can't, or a school zone.
I'm sorry, sir, we can't pick your voice.
I'm sorry. Yeah, like I was saying, you can't tell coming out onto Manning from Sunnybrook if it's a school zone. And buses go down Sunnybrook to pick up kids. So the extra traffic in there, even if they're just renting on weekends, I doubt, but if they're renting during the week, people are there, more traffic. Kids are walking up and down the streets,
It's a
so
bus stop right there too.
I think it's a safety problem.
I mean, buying properties just to rent them out as Airbnbs in a residential area, that shouldn't be allowed. I don't even think, has the code been updated?
There's 125 Airbnbs in Stillwater, so between all the hotels and the Airbnbs that there are right now, I think enough's enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's single-family residence. We bought our home for that point, is because it was for single-family families. We know our neighbors, we get along with our neighbors, and we've seen what happens when you rent, whether it's long-term, short-term, or whatever, rent to people that don't care about the homes. And you can have all the rules you want, just like the people that have leased them and rented them before had all the rules that they had, and it doesn't get followed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience this evening that would like to speak in opposition of this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and would give this opportunity for the property owners or the applicant to come forward and address any of those questions that were issued. Could you come forward and speak a little bit about who would be the responsive parties since you reside out of town? Because you've mentioned that you do know people here in town, but could you expand upon that just a little bit?
Marlon Tressler is a very good family friend. Of course, we have a lot of friends that's involved in the softball program that I promise you would help us at a drop of a hat. That's not a problem at all. And yeah, I mean, we can be here. I work in Oklahoma City, which is an hour from here, but we can be here fairly quick if there is ever a problem. I don't really understand the difference. Well, actually, I do, but a short-term rental versus a long-term rental. In our mind, you know, we own a lot of rental properties, and renters trash stuff out. The good thing about a short-term is, especially going through Airbnb, they got a credit card number on file. If they mess something up, they're liable for it. The downfall with normal renters in a long-term situation is they move out on you in the middle of the night, they trash your house, they trash your property, they don't keep it up at all, and you have no rebuttal against them besides, you know, a down payment that you got, which is usually half of what your monthly rent is. So in a short-term rental, in our mind, is a lot better deal because we actually get to control it. Not only do we have the house, we have all the belongings inside. And I mean, we kind of, I wish you'd come out and see it. I mean, both houses have been completely remodeled since we're talking about the other. We just spent over $50,000 at the house beside it, just on the inside. I mean, we're making nice property. We're making the property values around our area increase, which would help us in a short-term rental versus a long-term rental. Because we'll go to a long-term rental and you end up with a bunch of college kids that will be partying on the weekends, even though they say it won't. So it just in our argument, a short-term rental would be a lot better deal for everybody.
On the situation where we had rented out ahead of time, that was my fault. I totally did not realize you had to get the application. So then we have not currently rented it until we got approved, if we got approved. So that was on me for that one.
And we have the risk of that, or just our lack of knowing.
So I do have a question. You say you have other rental properties. Are those long-term rentals or short-term rentals? And are they okay, long-term, and are they in the Stillwater area?
No, ma'am. They're
Okay.
all in where we reside.
Okay, all right. And you did say that you do have cameras inside the home, so,
On the outside.
oh, on the outside,
I won't
okay.
put any inside just for privacy of
Sure.
the people, but I do have
On the
front
outside.
yard, the backyard, I have everyone around where I can see what's going on.
Okay.
And then, can I have one other thing?
Sure.
All my neighbors around me currently on my street, we've talked to a lot of them. They don't have a problem with it. Everyone's okay with it. So that's why I was just kind of wondering why someone that wasn't even on my street wouldn't be effective as much as someone that actually lived on my street. And all my neighbors around me on my street told me they're fine.
Have any other comment or question? All right, I think you all have addressed everything that came up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this point, we would ask for staff to give us our findings and or I guess just tell us what our alternatives are.
Yes.
There are no findings.
Yes, that's correct. So your options for this item are to approve the application, defer for additional discussion, or deny the application.
Thank you, Diana. Commissioners entertaining a motion or discussion?
I make a motion to approve the application.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the application. We shall now vote.
Mr. Williams, did you second?
That was me.
I'm sorry. That's why I asked, because I couldn't hear. Thank you very much.
Motion passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is a map amendment, MA 23-06. This is Pintail Properties LLC and Big Oaks Properties LP, and we are looking at properties addressed as 6001 and 6099 North Perkins Road.
All right, good evening, Commissioners. I'm Jacqueline Porter, City Planner, presenting this item of the request by Pintail Properties LLC of the rezoning of the property's address as 6001 and 6099 North Perkins from a RSS to IG to build a new location for business. The subject properties are located at the southeast corner of the intersection of North Perkins Road and East Burris. Here's an aerial view of the subject properties. The Canyon subdivision is located to the west across Perkins Road. Here's a street view looking southeast towards the subject property on North Perkins Road, close to the intersection. Current zoning of the properties are small lot single family with similar zoning to the south and west. Commercial shopping is to the north. General industrial is located to the east, along with agriculture zoning. The subject properties were rezoned in 2022 from general industrial to small lot single family, with along with the properties addressed as 5911 and 5823 North Perkins Road, which are the two parcels to the south of it, for the anticipation of platting those 4 lots to a residential use. The future land use map shows that the desired use of the subject property is commercial, abutting North Perkins Road with high-density residential to the east of that strip of commercial. Are there any questions for staff? The applicants are here.
Okay. I don't see any for staff. Thank you. At this time, we'd invite the applicant or their representative to come forward.
Hello.
Hello.
Name and address.
Name and address for the record, please.
You bet. Clifton Crow, 204 East Murray Drive.
So, Mr. Crow, could you kind of tell us what the thought is in making the request, because it's been, I guess, just not even quite a year for the other.
Right. We recently purchased the property. We weren't part of the original rezone.
Gotcha.
Property came up for sale. So we purchased the property, and we're intending to move our construction and cabinetry facility to that location, and thought the industrial, the IG would be a more appropriate zoning, since we have no intention of developing it as small lot.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
You bet.
Are there any questions for the applicant from the commissioners? I don't see any at this time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
At this point, we'd open the public hearing and ask if there's anyone in the audience this evening that would like to speak in favor of this item to please come forward. Seeing none, I'll ask if there's anyone in the audience this evening that would like to speak in opposition of this item to please come forward. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and ask staff to return to present findings and alternatives.
All right, so the findings on this item is the Land Development Code allows for the rezoning of land via map amendment. General industrial IG zoning is located to the east and the vicinity to the south further. The comprehensive plan, however, does call for commercial and high-density residential in this area. So your alternatives tonight are accept findings and recommend that the City Council approve the proposed map amendment as presented, or find that the map amendment is not an appropriate use for the property based upon the impact to the surrounding vicinity and do not recommend that the City Council approve the map amendment, find that additional information or discussion is needed prior to making a recommendation, and table the request to a certain date.
Thank you. Commissioners, anyone entertaining a motion or any discussion?
Actually, I had a question about this map. Looking at it again, looks like there's going to be like a little like island of this residential. Like it was kind of a bigger square, and if it's rezoned here, then it's just going to be this one little thing. Is that likely going to suppress any development there, or is that going to need to be rezoned, or I don't know. I'm just curious if that's going to discourage the current RSS from ever being used, because it's going to be sandwiched between different. I don't know. I'm just curious.
It really depends on the new property owner, what they want to do, because if they want to do small lot, they can freely go and plat it, and then if they want to rezone it, they have the supporting to rezone it to commercial or industrial for their use. So
just leave it as is until somebody wants to do something. Okay, that makes sense. Thanks.
Yep.
I'd motion to accept the findings and I'd motion to accept the findings and recommend that City Council approve the proposed map amendment as presented.
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. We shall now vote. Motion passes 5-0.
thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda are meeting summaries for review and possible action. The first item is the regular meeting summary of August 1st, 2023. Do I hear a motion to approve or any corrections?
I would motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve. We shall now vote. Motion passes 5-0. Let's see. Next item is the regular meeting summary of August 15th, 2023.
I'd motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. We shall now vote. Motion passes 5-0. The next item is the regular meeting summary of September 12th, 2023. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve minutes as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We shall now vote. Motion passes 5-0. The next item is the regular meeting summary of September 19th, 2023. Chair does have one correction, and that is on page 5 of 7, the 6th paragraph down, would be the 4th line in, where it references Commissioner Shanahan. I believe that should be Commissioner Phillips agreeing with Commissioner Shanahan's statement. Yeah, he agrees with himself too. I also agreed with him.
Good catch.
Wow.
All right, that's all I have. So without any other corrections, Chair would move to approve the minutes with the correction noted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We shall now vote. Motion passes 5-0. The next item on the agenda would be reports from officers and boards. Don't see that we have any. We'll say that the our next regularly scheduled meeting is not noted on here. That's okay. January 23rd is the next regularly scheduled meeting. No problem. And The last item on the agenda is adjournment. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Is it possible to get an update on where the city is with STRs?
Currently it's being reviewed by certain members of City Council and the Attorney's Office, correct?
Our office has already made comments and sent those to the city manager's office for review.
Do you have any kind of timeline?
We do not. We haven't been given a timeline.
Thank you.
With that, I'll ask if there's a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. We shall now vote. Motion passes 5-0. We now stand adjourned.